Welcome to Business Beyond Borders, the go-to podcast for CPA firms seeking transformative insights. I'm your host, Lawrence Whittam, and with each episode we'll uncover key insights, best practices, and invaluable resources tailored for CPAs. From trending strategies to diving deep into outsourcing and offshoring, our experts will help in all areas of your business. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Business Beyond Borders. So I'm your host, Lawrence Whittam, and today I have James Donovan, who we met reasonably recently. I've heard of them. I've seen them around over the years, but we actually met at the Universal Accounting Conference quite recently and had a good chat. And I figured it would be a good opportunity, especially previously being very much in that business development world, like growing an outsourcing firm, really working with CPA firms, that it is one of those important features to make sure that as we are setting ourselves up, when we do have our structure in place and we're ready to grow, that you obviously can turn on the growth side of it, right? Make sure you have leads coming in. And again, this is something where James has created to really help firms specifically to open up sort of the floodgates from a lead perspective, we'll say. So James, do you want to give a bit of a background about yourself, a bit of an intro for you and your business?
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for having me, Lawrence. I'm looking forward to it. And it was great meeting you at GrowCon a couple weeks ago. But yeah, basically what you were saying is we work primarily with accounting firms, tax preparation firms, fractional CFOs, and we help them generate more qualified leads and then book those appointments onto their calendar and show firms how to go out and do that on their own, which is, I think, the most important part. Sure, you can hire us, we can do the thing, but knowing how to do that and adding that to your arsenal is super important for the growth of your firm, because then you always know where you're going to get your consistent leads and your consistent appointments are coming from.
And tell us about the concept of it, right? So generally, how do you go about doing that, right? And again, the education piece is big for it, right? To make sure people understand, like, again, themselves, like how to do it, because then down the line, they can do it themselves as well, right? And there are certain, if people need to do it more, they can do it more themselves, or they can hire somebody to do it more in-house, right? But walk us through that sort of staged approach and what it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's primarily done through LinkedIn. So from your personal profile on LinkedIn, it's amazing how you can utilize that to monetize your business or monetize your LinkedIn profile. So what we always tell our clients before doing anything on LinkedIn, set your profile up to showcase yourself as the authority figure in your space. So professional looking profile picture, a cover photo that is relevant to your audience, having a picture of a golf course in the background. It might look nice, but it's not helping your audience and solving their problems. Having your contact information that's very relevant and very accessible is super important. And then any testimonials, case studies you can have on your page to add social proof. That's really important. After that setup, activating Sales Navigator Core would be the next piece. It's $99 a month on LinkedIn, super inexpensive. You get your first month free. After you have that, you can go through a handful of different filtering options to really hone in on exactly who you're looking to get in front of. So for example, we do for all of our clients is we'll use the company name and we'll say type in dental, dentist, maybe dental offices. So that's going to pop up in someone's company name. And we just keep going down the options that are there. We can choose company headcount, how long someone's been in business, how many employees they have. So you're avoiding the solopreneur who started, say, a month ago. You can choose 3+ years in business. They have 10+ employees. It's not an exact figure on revenue, but if you reverse engineer it, they've been in business for 3+ years. They got 10 people on their payroll. They're probably doing enough things right that they would have enough budget to afford your services. But the biggest thing is just adjusting that to know your own audience. And that could differ between a construction company or a law firm. If you're looking at certain revenue, you can choose your geography. And then most importantly, the titles of those decision makers. So owners, founders, presidents. And now you're going to get a really nice refined list of exactly the people you're looking to speak to. And then from there, just start to message, like connect and message those people. We can get into a whole depth of it about the automation and, building out messaging sequences. But the quick and dirty way, run a search on Sales Navigator and spend 30 to 40 minutes a day just clicking on each person, looking at their profile, sending them a message based off of something they've posted on their profile recently, proposing what you do, and then next steps.
Cool. And I guess one of the big elements there is obviously understanding who your target audience is, right? And making sure you have a defined target audience. Because when it comes to really reaching out and again, from a marketing perspective, from a sales perspective, the big thing is by having that niche, which we hear about in the profession, like this, you go to any conference, there's always speakers about niching down so that firms can understand that a little bit more. But this is part of the reason, because now you have a clear focus. You can actually tailor your profile and you reach out specifically to that audience, right? And you can generally provide a lot more value when you are focusing on a certain core area, right? So you're actually going in and helping educate them to understand how to tailor their audience. So can you walk through that a little bit? Like, what is well, let's just say if you go into a CPA firm, does it depend on the size? Do you really ask them about who their current clients are? Like, what are those sort of questions they should ask themselves to even self-understand who their target should be?
Definitely. So I think the biggest thing out of the gates would be kind of just looking inward at your book of business. Where's the most similarities with the industries that your clients are falling in? That's where I would probably start. And then the next question would be, okay, cool. I'm currently working with a ton of restaurants. By chance, do I like working with restaurants? Do I want to be the go-to CPA firm for restaurants, or do I want to work somewhere else? So identifying who you're currently working with, who you like to work with, and then I think that will give you a lot more clarity. But like what you were mentioning, Lawrence, once you're niching down, you can brand your profile, you can brand your website and your messaging to be like, we are the go-to CPA firm for construction firms, for restaurants. Like, we know the ins and outs of the construction industry, like the back of our hand. We're the best firm you can be working with for your finances. So the more you're niche down, the more focus you can get versus casting a really wide net, being like, hey, we can help you.
Yeah.
It doesn't hit as much when you have that really broad message versus someone coming in and they know exactly what the pain points are of construction firms because they're working with a handful of them. When you reach out to the owner of a construction firm and you hit them exactly with what they're feeling, they're going to respond because you've nailed exactly what their pain points are.
Now, typically, what should I be expecting, right? As a firm, let's say I'm a small firm, right? And I'm coming to you for some help to really implement this. What should I expect from it? Like, how long does it take to really implement, right? This doesn't come overnight at the end of the day, right? And again, you can't physically do it overnight because if you just roll out a bunch of messages, right, you'll get your profile banned and things like that, right? So what should that look like, right, from an expectation perspective? And how does somebody know if the campaign they're doing, even if they're doing it themselves, what does success look like, right? Does that change based on firm to firm as well? How targeted you being, or are there sort of general metrics that you can give that, this is a good campaign that we're doing, and this should, over the next 2 months, you should have about this response rate, right? What does that look like?
Yeah, definitely. And I think what you touched on, like, you can't jump in and do it all overnight. And trying to use like the analogy for working out, you're not going to go into a gym if you've never been there. You're not going to go right in and try to deadlift 300 pounds the first thing you do. You're really going to hurt yourself, and it's going to go terribly wrong. And it's not that exercising is bad for you. It's you didn't do it the right way. So warming that up. Start by sending out a couple connection requests. Get some activity on your LinkedIn account, because LinkedIn, they're very smart. They're going to look at your account and be like, you've never done anything for years. Now all of a sudden you're trying to send out 200 connections in one day. It's not going to happen. You're going to get on their radar. So start small, 20, 30 connections a day to get warmed up. Build a pool of people accepting those connections. Once you have people accepting those connections, that's where you can jump in and send that welcome message. So letting them know a little bit about who you are, but really focus a short message on what those pain points are. So for example, kind of off the top, thinking of some of our other campaigns, if you're reaching out to construction firms, like, hey, do you struggle with increasing your profit margin and reducing your expenses? something really simple, because you just want to start the conversation. The goal of your first message is just to get a response. From there, just keeping consistent. And if you're reaching out to, I'd say, at least 30 people a day, that's a really good metric for doing the work. And then what we look for conservatively, if you're getting 8 to 12 leads a month, people raising their hand saying, hey, Lawrence, this sounds cool. Let's have a conversation, or I need some more help. How can you help me out? You're on the right track. Obviously, that can increase a lot more. That can dip, but I think 8 to 12 is a really good spot. We've worked with a variety of industries, and 8 to 12 usually is where we're at for majority of campaigns we're running.
And now what size firms do you see that, and again, because realistically any firm can do this, right? I mean, and a lot of even mid-sized larger firms, like sometimes they're somewhat siloed off, right, internally as well. So like certain partners are the rainmakers, right, in some case, right? And the work comes in, they pass it to whoever needs to do it, right, in that sense. But then there are a lot of other firms that they do run as a business then. So I would assume that when it's more of like a business run firm, it's a division, like it's the sales division or it's the marketing division combined that's actually doing a lot of this together. But when it's just, let's say, like a more individualized, siloed firm, right? Should each partner be working on these types of activities? Should there be like a core certain amount of partners doing it? Right? What do you see currently?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have some clients where they have multiple profiles they're running it from. And what's cool about that is you just get in front of more people. LinkedIn only allows so much outreach per profile per week, essentially. So if you have 2 accounts running or 3 accounts, you can each choose a specific audience you want to get in front of and basically get in front of 2 or 3x as many people. It's different in the sense, this strategy compared to ads, where paid ads, you just keep throwing more money at it and you're going to get more traffic. With LinkedIn messaging, everyone has the same allotted amount of outreach, which does make it pretty cool as far as like everyone's on a level field. It's just how many more profiles are we going to put in to that rotation to reach out to more people, or even more of the same people? Because potentially the person you reach out to on a Monday in January, if your partner reaches out to them on March, they may be in the mindset of saying yes at that point, just hitting them from a different angle, different type of messaging. So there's definitely benefits to having a couple different people doing that outreach.
Now, can you share maybe just a couple of, like, if you've got any specific case study type situations, right, with a firm that you've worked with, like how they got into it, how they did it really right in that sense as well, like in some of the outcomes that maybe they saw. And again, because I hear a lot of the times, like, again, talking to similar types of companies, like they've had to shut off that type of lead side of it. And especially working in the more of that consulting in the staffing side, it's been like, I've talked to people and they've been like, well, we don't have enough people to even do the work right now. So like we've had to shut down a lot of the marketing, a lot of the sales efforts. We get some referrals. We've been calling clients and stuff. But the idea is like, they've got to get those things in control, and then they should be opening up, and they shouldn't have to turn it off. Right. At the end of the day, they can be more specific as to who they go to, and they can be more stringent as to who they choose to take on as a client in a lot of cases, but they shouldn't really ever turn it off, in my opinion. But can you give one of those examples and sort of share like what some of those responses have been?
Yeah. So I think like you nailed it, not turning something off, because then you have a nice system that's going to consistently produce leads for you. So you're never going to get to that point where you have nothing on the calendar and no one to sell your services to. If people don't know what you're doing, you can be the best accounting firm in the world. No one can buy it if they don't know who you are. So just consistently planting those seeds and watering those seeds for that harvest. Some results, one of our best clients, speaking of niching down, he works with construction firms on the East Coast. So we focused on that. And then every time we get together, every 2 weeks, we're always asking them, hey, how are the quality of the leads? How are the quality of the appointments? And a lot of it is getting feedback from him. So we'll go out and book the call, we'll go and generate the lead. We'll jump on the phone and qualify the lead. So that's kind of the next piece of that we didn't really touch on. When you go to call the lead who's raised their hand, run them through a couple questions, because you want to be respectful of your time and you don't want to give that out to everyone. So just confirming, are they the owner? or decision maker of a company? What services are they looking for? And give a drop down list of your own services. So you're getting more intent before they get on the calendar, asking them what their annual revenue is and what their current financial structure looks like. Maybe you want to ask if they're happy with their current accounting. The more info you can get there, the better. To a certain point, no one wants to fill out a form with 20 questions because there's going to be too much friction there to book a call. But basically, looking at the answers to the questions you're getting, how did the sales call go, and comparing those things, and then determining, all right, are we getting the right people coming through from our questions? Are the right people coming through from the targeting? And when that's hitting, you're going to close a lot more deals easy because now your sales calls are with people who are super qualified. Speaking of results, I mean, we've helped this particular client land anywhere from $1,000 a month deals to I think $6,000 per month contracts. I think last time we checked, we've helped add about $250,000 to his business in the last 12 to 13 months. So a lot of it is just feedback based. Who am I speaking to? Were they a right fit? If they are, what can I look at from my targeting, from my messaging, from my qualification questions that drove that person to be the right fit? And if they weren't, looking, kind of reverse engineer in that process, where did I miss the mark on this individual? So there's going to be some trial and error involved.
Okay, cool. And I guess one of the questions, because again, as a firm owner, I feel like it, and again, I take it from a slightly different angle, but the outsourcing and the offshoring for me has always been quite a taboo subject of talk, right? And nobody wants to do it necessarily, but like it has to be done and so forth, right? Now, I've met also a lot of firm owners that hate the word sales, right? And they don't want to be seen as a salesperson, right? And which, again, I agree with, right? You shouldn't be reaching out from a salesy, like that typical stereotype of a salesperson, right? I mean, but nor are they in a lot of cases, right? They're advisors, right? They're reaching out because they are going to be able to help in a lot of cases. And actually reaching out will give them generally get a lot of good results, right? By doing so, if they're actually being proactive, because a lot of firms are not very proactive in reach outs. But I guess the question is, can you give some tips on how they can be reaching out and following this type of outreach, right? Without being seen as a salesy person or having that feeling internally, right? You have to obviously ask questions. You have to be there and do it. But what type of messaging should that look like to make sure that they feel a bit more comfortable themselves?
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone listening is or has received those messages on LinkedIn already, or those emails that it's very obvious. It's hi, first name. I see you work at X. And then it's paragraphs of what we do. And the quick and easy answer is don't do that. Separate yourself from what everyone else is doing out there that makes you cringe, that makes you roll your eyes, that makes you hit delete right away. Don't do that. And you're already going to be, 90% ahead of the game. What's working really well for us right now is just really short conversational messages. Majority of people are on their phone. If they get a message on LinkedIn that they can read just in the preview screen, you're in the right place. If they have to open that up, it's probably too long. 2 to 3 sentences. Hey, first name, ask them a question that's going to, agitate the pain point your audience has, and then a call to action. Hey, are you struggling to increase your capital and reduce your expenses? This is what we help construction firms like you do. Would it be worth a 10-minute call? Really conversational. That can be automated and you can get that in front of a ton of people, but because it's so short, it can still look personalized. And I think that's the line you got to walk. What is short enough that it's automated, but it also looks personalized?
Cool. Now, I guess is there anything else like from advice wise? Because again, I feel like it's about consistency. It's about doing it right. And again, if people don't reach out and change what they're doing as well, like to some element, like again, it's testing, right? Sometimes something isn't working, so go and change it, right? And don't just do the same thing over and over and over again, right? What is that insanity by doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? But a lot of people just do it, right? Because they think that the action is going to be the thing that's going to get them the results, which sometimes it's not, right? It's changing that approach. So I guess, what is there any other tips you can give that for anybody out there doing it, to even get an idea that, oh, this is something that I can do myself and even test out myself? And again, may need to reach out to you for more guidance, or may need to reach out to you to actually take you on to help them get it going, right? But maybe they want to go out and do a test themselves. Like, what would you advise? Like, do these 2-3 things now. You'll see that you'll get a few results, but now we can actually help you get to the next level.
Yeah. I think the biggest, or maybe the biggest thing, or something I like to do all the time, is whenever something captures my attention, if I get a message on LinkedIn and I go and open it up and it's like the subject line from InMail or a cold email comes through and I actually open it up, I save that and I'm like, okay. I was like, all right, you got me. Like, I actually opened it up. So that alone is like, there's something that was captivating enough from that subject line or the first part of the message that made me think, man, this is personalized. This guy or girl like actually wants to speak to me. And then when I open up, like, okay, they're going to try to sell me something. But I got to respect the effort that it made me do it. Cause like, doing this as a profession, if someone's catching my attention, open up, I'm like, all right, I got to learn from them. So I'll put that in a folder, I'll save it. And then I'll try to take what they're doing and replicate that in our campaigns. Cause I'm like, if it caught my attention, chances are it's going to get someone else's as well. So I think if you just have a folder or you take screenshots and then you have data and things to go back and look on, that way you're not trying to build from scratch. Just, I think the easiest way to answer that for you, the long-winded way, is whatever captures your attention, tweak that into what your service offering is. That's probably the easiest way to start. And then it's just, like you said, that consistency of getting the message out. You can be the best firm in the world. If people don't know who you are, they're never going to be able to do business with you.
Yeah, and this, awesome point, because it's again, I'm the same, building something from scratch, right, and starting it out, like whether I'm writing, whether I'm doing articles, blogs, whatever it is, right. It's very difficult for me to really put everything down at the beginning, but when you've got the concept there and you really know, and again, I do slightly differently. Like I will speak to through an app to actually get it down in writing for me. Because if I sit there and start typing, it never comes out, right? But if I speak it, I can easily go through the ideas in my head. So I just speak it out and then get it down on there. So it's similar concept, but figure out what somebody else has done to you, made you open it. So you're like, okay, now this is clearly a good one. And you can easily customize it now based on, like, just break it down sentence to sentence. Okay, how do I make this targeted towards my audience, right? And then try that out, right? And that goes for, I'm sure, both from the LinkedIn side, but also email campaigns, right? So now you guys, from my understanding, they'll purely focus on that sort of LinkedIn outreach side of things, right? It's not from a sales campaign overall. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the majority of it. It's direct outreach from personal profiles on LinkedIn to the owner, founder, president of another firm that our client would be looking to work with. Real quick, just to touch on your last piece, talking about tips. You say you're speaking in to an app to get your thoughts down. If you're capturing what has worked on you to open up a message, even throw that, like, copy and paste that, put it into ChatGPT. And if you're speaking into an app, like, use that as your prompt, or type out what your thoughts are to say, I really like this opener, but I want it to be structured around my fractional CFO service. I want it to be structured around bookkeeping, and make it less salesy, use this tonality, whatever it is. Just tell ChatGPT it's your friend, and that will give you even more of a place to start. And then you can add your own spin on it. But if you don't want to start completely from scratch, use other people's ideas and then put your own spin on it.
Cool. So, no, really appreciate it, James. And again, I'm sure lots of helpful sort of tips and advice to sort of get people moving in the right direction for this. Again, I think it's very important that people understand how to do it, because I see too much and hear too much that firms, they just word of mouth referrals. That's how they get their clients, right? But then they really need to put fuel on the fire sometimes. And again, I spoke to somebody, a firm owner today, and he said the same thing. They've even gone through a process of culling certain clients, and they're like hoping that it was the right move, because now they're like, all right, well, we've just culled a bunch of clients. I know that it's because of the talent side of it. However, I hope I don't kick myself in 3 to 5 years' time when I would to keep those on, even if they were lower margin clients in a lot of cases. But now going out to find those new clients that are the right fit for them is very important, to find more of what they actually want. Because you're not necessarily getting the referrals that you want every time, right? You still have to go through that process. So super helpful. Where can people find you, James? Where can people reach out to you if they want to just have another conversation? If they want to work with you guys, what's the best way?
LinkedIn. LinkedIn's the easiest place, James Donovan. Or you can find us online, 92media.com. It's all spelled out, NINETWO media. But yeah, LinkedIn, I'm on there every day. I'd be crazy to come on here and talk about LinkedIn for 30 minutes or so and then not say I'm on LinkedIn. So that's the easiest way.
Cool. No, appreciate it. No, and thank you, everyone. Please reach out, and we'll post the information for you as well, so that you can reach out over LinkedIn and to the company website. So we'll drop those links in the description. And again, everybody, hope you had a good time listening today, and really appreciate James for the advice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Business Beyond Borders. I'm Lawrence Whittam, and it's been a pleasure bringing you impactful insights tailored for the modern CPA firm. Remember, the world of accounting is vast and ever evolving, and we're here to navigate it together. For more resources and episodes, don't forget to subscribe and reach out to our experts. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of your business and explore the limitless possibilities beyond borders.